Oh hello, welcome to another video. Today I'll be reflecting on the Kill Team reveals from Warhammer Fest, kind of rounding them all up, having ruminated on them a little bit, and also adding in any information that I gleaned from the Q&A, because I was actually at Warhammer Fest in the seminar for this one. So let's get started. The first thing is Ashes of Faith. So the high level is this is a narrative expansion which stands separately from the normal season system. So there's like an extra box between Season 2 and Season 3. It's the first narrative box for this edition of Kill Team, but it's not really a new concept. In many ways, the Rogue Trader box for the previous edition of Kill Team kind of paved the way for this one. That was more of a narrative expansion as well. So this kind of reminds me of that. And just like the Rogue Trader box, a lot of people weren't a fan of that one. I think this is going to be a little bit divisive. Personally, I think this sounds amazing in a lot of ways. Let's go through it. So, what is a narrative expansion as far as we can tell? So you get two forces in the box, Chaos and Inquisition, and you get a narrative campaign that lets you play through a story with those two forces. It's nothing to do with the current narrative play rules in Kill Team. It's a completely different system to a narrative campaign from the Kill Team core rules. It's essentially a series of linked kind of story-driven games for two players. Now, it was said that you can play through the two-person campaign with other Kill Teams, but it very much works best with the two in the box. So for me, Helen loves Chaos, I love the Imperium. I think we'll get this box and we'll actually play through the actual campaign, actually do the thing as a series of linked games. I think that this is the real thing here. If you have a friend and you like playing board games or tabletop games with that friend and you're going to actually do the thing, you'll get value out of this box. If you're seeing it as just a vehicle to get teams to play competitive Kill Team, and there's nothing wrong with that, then the value proposition of the box is very different. And we are going to go through that in a minute. So just bear that in mind. This is one of those things that Games Workshop does. I'm always reminded of the story of The Betrayal at Calth, which was a really good game, allegedly, written by James M. Hewitt, who used to work for Games Workshop. And that was a Horus Heresy big box for the previous edition of Horus Heresy. So many people bought that throughout all of the game content and just wanted the miniatures. I think this is similar. I think if you're going to buy it and you're just going to keep that orange book there, which is the one that you'll need for your match play to go with all your orange books on the shelf. If you're just going to discard the cards and the red book and the board, then your value may differ. You may still get a lot of value out of it. We'll go through that in a minute. The value in this box is really weird. And obviously we don't know the price point. It is worth saying that both teams are perfectly usable in all the standard ways we have of playing Kill Team. So you can totally ignore that campaign element, as I suspect a lot of people will, and you could just play them in tournament games or casual match play games, or you could even take them and run them in a normal kind of more multiplayer narrative campaign using the standard narrative campaign rules if that's what you wanted to do. There's no terrain in the box, which is a first for Kill Team, and it was stated that it's going to be a one-off print run with no possibility of made to order. So if this is something that interests you, it is a FOMO product. Take it for what it is. You're either fine with that or you're not, but that is your option. So if you don't pick it up quick, it's is going to be a thing that's going to be scalped. Sadly, I could rant about that, but it would make the video depressing. It's the standard Games Workshop things. They do struggle with this sort of stuff. I guess the book and the models, like the orange book and the models, may eventually come out separately. I don't feel like the Ashes of Faith campaign rulebook and the cards will ever actually come out separately, though. So if you're hyped to play that, like I'm hyped to play it with my wife, then you really do need to pick up this box. So the first of the two new teams is the Hidden Canker Chaos Cult. So the Hidden Canker Chaos Cult is made up entirely of existing models from Warhammer 40k, but a lot of existing models. So this is 3 different squads, as I understand it, from Warhammer 40,000. In fact, if I just skip through the slides for a minute, you can see that it's the Chaos Cultists box, the Accursed Cultist box, and the Dark Commune box. But in the case of this, we're calling them, the cultists are called devotees. The Accursed Cultists, as they were in 40k box, is split into 2 troops types. So you've got the smaller ones that are mutants, and the 3 larger ones which are torments. And the idea is that your little guys, your devotees, who look to be quite poor. They start off with swords and auto pistols. They can evolve into the mutants, and then they can evolve again into the torments, which are going to be really, very strong. So it's going to be a team that ramps up in power through the game. The way I would guess it would work is that you'll start with your Dark Commune as well, right? So this is going to be your leader in the middle here, and then you've got your Psyker, you've got this banner guy, and two kind of beefy guys with swords. And I guess this is the part of the team which is the big threat at first. But if you focus on these as the opposing player and ignore... Now, we're not clear how many... This is the number you get in a box, but it's not clear how many of these you actually use. If it's all of them, if you start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... 10 of these plus 5 of these, that will be the biggest kill team, because previously the biggest was Vet Guard at 14. So if you do start off with 15 men... That'll be pretty amazing. Be interesting to see if this is actually enough mutants. Is it possible that you play a really ridiculously good game and you find yourself needing a second box of the accursed cultists because you managed to keep more than 5 of your 10 starting cultists alive to evolve into mutants, and then you managed to keep more than 3 of your mutants alive to evolve into torments? I don't know. We've got no idea on the rules. But I think it's an interesting mechanic for the team. It's very involved, and it's a lot of miniatures to paint. It's not my sort of thing, but Mrs. TI seems fairly excited for that, so that's cool. The one sticking point from our point of view is that she owns all 3 of these boxes already, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So that's the Hidden Canker Chaos Cult. And then we've got the Inquisitorial Agents. So the Inquisitorial Agents is the new plastic box in the set. Now, it will say you get 7 in the box, but it's a flexible kit. So you can kind of see here, you get a gun servitor. He can be built with one of 3 guns. They have released a picture of the Heavy Bolter version, Heavy Bolter Plasma Cannon or Multi-Melter. There's no picture of the Multi-Melter guy, but it was said at the event that he can have a multi-melter. So Plasma Cannon and Multi-Melter are brand new things to Kill Team. What do we assume a Plasma Cannon is? Is it just a plasma gun with the blast special rule? I mean, I say just, that would be nuts, right? Is a Multi-Melter just a melter gun but without the range special rule? And again, I say just, but that would also be nuts. So now the one downside is apparently the gun servitor does need someone to stand next to him to make him a better shot. On his own, he's not very good at shooting, so we'll see how that plays out. But those are some really heavy weapons there coming to Kill Team. You've got your Auto Savant, right? You have, as far as I can make out, is a Pistolier, and the Pistolier can also be built as this chain, eviscerator wielding guy here, who I'm not sure. I think the Pistolier is a really, really cool model. Like a really, really cool model. And I think if you want a robed guy with a chain, with a big eviscerator, it would be so tempting for me to get like a Necromunda Redemptionist to fill that. Just because I think some of these recycled bodies are quite obnoxious. So I'd be looking maybe to get one of these teams and then to proxy some of the alternate builds to add a bit more variety in there. I just think a Redemptionist with a big chainsaw would easily fill that gap. Whereas I think this Pistolier is beautiful with the bionic arm and the hood and the silenced bolt pistol, which just tickles me, right? You've got the Enlightener. The Enlightener's pretty cool. The Enlightener, though, is an alternate build of the Interrogator, and I think the Interrogator's your leader, so the Interrogator's pretty mandatory. I would think a good proxy, if you didn't want to buy 2 boxes or you couldn't buy 2 boxes, a good proxy for the Enlightener. Obviously, don't know what his rules are quite yet, but could be the old metal Death Cult Assassin with 2 blades. Could be something that you'd see in an Inquisitorial Agents team. Potentially there, just to stop some of this doubling up that's going on. You've got a Mystic, some kind of Psyker it looks like, with a big staff. That's a really cool miniature. And then the alternate build here for the Mystic is this guy with a shotgun. And again, I just kind of think that having both of those similar guys on the same team just looks a bit naff. So, but you could easily just, if you've bought that Redemptionist box to get a cool guy with a big sword, you could have another Maniac. I'm sure they have guys just with regular shotguns. I think that would be pretty cool. And then you've, of course, got the Death Guard Veteran and the Penal Legionnaire. Again, they look really, really cool. I think ultimately I would build the Death World Veteran. He's awesome. But the Penal Legionnaire is also awesome. Like, I think this is the hardest one. I think the temptation for me here would be to use some of the bits. If you build the Death Watch Veteran, the Death World, I should say, not Death Watch, the Death World Veteran, and then the bits that you have left over that were for the Penal Legionnaire, kit mash them with something suitably generic, like an Orlock. Like, I'll see if I can borrow, I know Mrs. TR has some Orlocks, see if I can make a single Orlock body. You could make it a Penal Legionnaire that way. That might be the way to approach it. So I think the models are really, really cool. I just think that the recycled bodies that are quite obvious, and they've done well. That, you know, the heavy metal team have done well. They've painted them very differently to try and make it less obvious, but I think for everybody looking at it. So I do really like them, but I do think that having 2 boxes is going to be annoying. Now, you may not want 2 boxes. You may just want to pick the mechanically best ones, right? Because if you run 7, you can top them up with one of these 5 fire support squads, or ancillary support, I should say. Now, in the box, you get some Sisters of Silence, actually, and I'm assuming they're running as 5 sword girls, because they're shown as 5 sword girls in the videos. They do come with bolters and flamers as well, so it's not particularly clear which you are going to use. And you also get a squad of 5 Tempestus Scions. And then it also is said that they can instead take 5 Exaction Squad guys, 5 Breachers, 5 Kazakin, or 5 Vet Guard. So your team is 12 models, right? So you take your 7 Inquisitorial Agents. It sounds like you must take the Interrogator, right? And then he probably comes with the Tome Skull. And then you take 6 more of there somehow, probably including the Auto Savant and the Gun Servitor, right? And then and then you take one of these. So it's not clear. The idea is that they're super flexible, and you can build you can choose which one you want to adapt to your game. But it's not that clear how the roster system actually works. So it was asked in the Q&A, but Eddie actually said it was unsure. One of the, and I'll get into this in my Warhammer Fest overall review, one of the weird things, the really weird things about Warhammer Fest, if you go back to like the old fests they used to do, or even better, the Forge World Horus Heresy Weekenders, I have really fond memories of those Forge World Horus Heresy Weekenders where they give the presentation, you know, and then Alan Bly, God rest his soul, will be up on the stage, and you could ask questions, and he'd literally just answer the questions. And what's really irritating is Elliot was there, the games writer was there at the event, TOing the Kill Team tournament, but it was the marketing guys, the Warhammer community team, same thing, that were giving the presentation, which is obviously an executive decision that Games Workshop have made. But so Eddie was unsure. I said I don't want to get into my Warhammer Fest review too much, but Eddie was unsure whether you could roster them all, or you had to put them on the roster, or you could pick somehow. So it could, as far as I can see, work in one of 2 ways. Either you have to build the standard 20-man roster, so you take your 7 Inquisition guys, and then you've basically got space for 2 5-man teams, and you can choose which of those 5-man teams you want to take into any one given game. Or it could be a special rule situation where you can take, you know, you can take any of them because the rules say, you know, you can then choose to add an Exaction Squad, and it lists out exactly what's in the Exaction Squad, and the models aren't rostered in the same way. We just don't know. We'll have to wait and find out when we get the rules, not leak, the rules reveal, I guess. So if they have a big menu of support characters, and if you can literally choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if you can choose any of these 6 options in every game, you're going to need a big army case, right, when you go to a Kill Team tournament, because you're going to take 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, plus your 7, plus potentially another 5, because it was said that you can double up on Inquisitorial. If you want to run pure Inquisitorial agents, you can do that. You would need a second box, otherwise, I discussed, you could proxy the ones you're missing, but you can actually run them as with an extra 5 Inquisitorial agents in lieu of this ancillary support, which I kind of wonder if that ends up being the go-to option. We'll see. We'll see what... There's so many variables here. We'll have to see what the rules are and what the community makes of all the rules. What I will say, though, is it was said that the... Now, it wasn't this clear in the Q&A. I'm extrapolating a little bit, and I could be wrong, but it was said that the ancillary support won't get all the rules as a pure team. You know, it was sort of said, oh, the Inquisition guys expect them to die. The question was specifically about Kazakin. Will they get their elite rule? I don't think Eddie specifically said, no, they will not get their elite rule. But it certainly sounded to me like Kazakin won't get their elite rule. Guard aren't going to get their artillery strikes. You know, Exaction Squad aren't going to get to fire in combat. And breachers aren't going to get to breach and clear, so they're not going to get their kind of overarching rule, which makes the Scions seem like a really good choice, because if you take the... First of all, I don't understand why you'd ever take Vet Guard over Kazakin, if you're capping them both at 5, because Vet Guard's whole thing is... You know, Vet Guard's whole thing is that there are 14 of them. Kazakin's whole thing is, well, there are only 10, but each one's slightly better, and we've got these elite points. If you're capping them at 5, what's the point of the Vet Guard? And then if you're having Kazakin without elite, and you've got the option of the Scions, what's the point of the Kazakin? So it feels like the Scions are just better of the 3 Imperial Guard-themed teams there, potentially. And then you've got the Exaction Squad and the Breachers. Well... I can see maybe you roster the Breachers, so you could roster the Scions as your kind of go-to team, then maybe the Breachers if you're going to go into the dark. Maybe you want to roster the Sisters of Silence if you, you know, I mean, not that Thousand Sons need any more of a kicking, but that one game where you're like, oh, a Thousand Sons player, oh, I'll take these 5 Sisters of Silence, would be kind of funny. But yeah, we'll have to see how that shakes out. But that is all the information we more or less have right now. Let me know if you think it'll work a different way. It does seem from the picture, and let me just go through this here, it does seem that we do get specialists. So it's not, unless the picture's just random, but that's not the laser pointer, that's the pen. I want the laser pointer. So it does see, for example, the Kazakin have got a melter gun, they've got their Auspex guy, they've got their medic, they've got their grenade launcher, and they've got their mine layer. The guardsmen seem to have, you know, the spotter, the zealot, is that the bruiser? You know, so they seem to have a selection of specialists. All of them do as well. So maybe that's a reason why you take Kazakin and Vet Guard over the Scions, who just look to have 4 guys and a plasma gun. Or no, sorry, 3 guys, a plasma and a hotshot. Especially if they're little fixed ancillary support teams. So, yeah, you can take Vet Guard, but you have to take exactly these 5. Yeah, you can take Kazakin, but you have to take exactly this 5. If you have the whole flexibility of picking 5 from that roster... I mean, I don't know. You'll notice none of these selections have sergeant-type characters, so that's probably a limitation. We'll have to see how the rules shake out. But potentially very interesting. I think if you have to roster your ancillary support, much less interesting, right? Because you'll quickly distill, in that kind of scenario, you'll have to work out, well, which one is going to be the best one generally, and then which one covers a specific niche. So then I suspect you end up taking, like, the Navy Breachers and the Scions, for example, as your 2. I really hope they run it in a way where you can take them, like, you can flex to any different one. I bet in the campaign you'll have reasons to take Exaction Squad because you want to do something like arrest people and have things like that to do where you're slowing people down to stop people running off the side. And it is primarily a narrative thing, right? So I can kind of see that as well. I can see some of that stuff coming into play. So, like I say, we'll have to wait. Just a quick note then that the box here does have a lot of existing models in it. So these things on the screen alone is 157 GBP of Great British Pounds of value. If that's all stuff that you wanted, you know, if you get on top of that, you're getting 2 books, various gaming aids, and of course the 7-man Inquisitorial team that's brand new. If this comes out at 110, the same price as Gallowfall, I think that's potentially a reasonably good shout. Especially if you've got a Chaos army, to be honest. You're getting 3 quite new, quite lovely Chaos boxes at quite a discount. The Tempest of Silence and the Sisters of Silence are they are older, so maybe to some extent you regard that as shovelware. The Scions in particular, like now that Plastic Kazakin are out, how many people care about Scions, etc. But this is what you're getting in lieu of terrain, you know. You're sort of getting 1 new team and all this stuff. It's interesting. I want to pick it up because I'm excited to actually play the actual thing in the box, the role playing kind of narrative campaign with my wife, because we love the Inquisition and she loves Chaos. If you're picking it up purely from like a tournament grinding mindset, then I don't know how much value is there. If you don't own any of the Chaos stuff and you're intrigued by the Chaos team, then yeah, there's value there as well. If you just want the new models, maybe not, maybe less so. And I think that the Orange book the models in the Orange book will go on sale later. So if you don't care about the campaign thing and you want to pick and choose more, I guess that's an option for you as well. I think that's everything I want to say on Ashes of Faith. I've talked for 21 minutes. Their whole preview was 18 minutes, so I'm doing pretty well. We're going to move on to Strike Force Justinian. So this is a new Space Marine kill team that's coming out to make us our 3rd Imperial Space Marine kill team. Do you remember when we were begging for just 1 Imperial Space Marine kill team? And now we've got 3. So this appears to be a bit of controversy here. I'll talk about it on the next slide. Appears to be a 7-man kill team. You get an Intercessor, an Assault Intercessor, a Heavy Intercessor, a Sergeant, an Intercessor who's throwing a grenade, so we'll call him a Grenadier or a Grenade guy. You get a Space Marine Captain with a Power Fist and a Plasma Pistol, and then you get a Phobos guy with a Sniper Rifle. So this is the team. This is the team that if they'd launched with this team, people who really loved Kill Team 18 would have been happy. This is like the throwback team, right? I remember Kill Team 18 when I could take 1 guy from this squad and 1 guy from this squad and 1 guy from this squad and make my very own kind of dirty dozen. The people that love that aesthetic are going to love this team. Okay, because this is that. So information we know about this. It's part of the Space Marine Heroes range. So if you're not familiar, we've had a couple of seasons of Space Marine Heroes. We've had I think it was Blood Angels, Terminators, and Death Guard, right? So some regular Marines, some Terminators, and some Death Guard. And this is the first one with Primaris Marines in. As you can see by the I want to say kanji, some kind of Japanese writing on the box there. Someone will tell me in the comments. These are aimed primarily at the Asian market, where there's a really big market for these kind of what's the word? Gapachon blind boxes, right? They're really, really popular over there. People really like buying a blind box and collecting and doing the collecting and the trading thing and trying to get them all that way and collecting with their friends and opening and swapping. People, it's really, really, really popular over there, which is why they keep doing these Space Marine Heroes ranges. This one just happens to also build a kill team, so it's kind of serving 2 roles at once. There's a lot of panic coming from, I guess, people who are primarily kill teamers. They're not like, I consider myself mainly interested in Kill Team at the moment, and I've got a Kill Team YouTube channel, but I consider myself a general Games Workshop guy, so I have an eye on everything they do. There's not really a great need to get upset about this being in blind boxes. With Space Marine Heroes, you can buy you always can. You can buy your very own like display case of these, where you will get 1 of each model, and then you get 1 random duplicate, right? So you have to buy 1 extra model than you would otherwise need, and that's kind of your tax from opting out of the the buying and then trying to track down people to trade with aspect of it. You effectively pay over for one extra model, which you do get an extra model, and you put that extra model on eBay or whatever, and you could always try and build the team by going on eBay and buying everybody's extra models, right? But like if you want to opt out, pay a little bit more, get a duplicate model, and you'll have the whole team in one easy transaction, right? I don't think they'll be that expensive. Like on Element Games, the current Space Marine Heroes set is a pretty reasonable price. So I think it's 35 or something. You know, not much more than you'd pay just for a squad of Chaos Space Marines or whatever. So it's really not that big a deal, guys. Just calm yourselves about this blind box thing. If you just buy a case of them, it's fine. Now, the one thing it will be, I guess, is it will be a FOMO release. So these Space Marine Heroes releases don't stick around forever. If you don't buy it when it's available, it'll be easily accessible for a while, and then when it's sold out, it'll be sold out. It's gone. Now, the nice thing is you can quite happily proxy this team, and not even proxy it really, just build this team with slightly different models, because let's just go back here for a second. If you play Space Marines, you know, I've got Intercessor, I've got an Intercessor Sergeant, you can build an Intercessor with a grenade launcher. I'm sure you can build a Captain with this loadout, right, from the new Captain kit when that comes out, if there isn't a monopose Captain with this loadout. You know, heavy Intercessor from the heavy Intercessor box, and a Sniper guy. Now, he is on a different base, I guess, but you know, you can get pretty close. I myself don't own any heavy Intercessors because I think they're hideous. I'll probably pick these up partially so I can review them on the channel, and partially because I think it's quite cool to have a mixed team of veterans. But if you don't want to pick them up and you get the PDF rules, they did say in the seminar the rules will be coming in a PDF. I know in the article it talks about there being cards in the boxes. I think they're going to do both. I think the cards thing is cute, but people are worried about the rules not being accessible and all these other tedious concerns. There's going to be a PDF. Like, just calm down, right? Just relax. Yeah, like I've seen people saying, "Oh, I don't think tournaments will allow it." Like, yeah, they will. Just calm yourselves. There is a Captain in the box. Some people are a bit aggy about the Captain. They've gone to great pains, both in the seminar and in the little article, to say, no, we are not bringing back commanders. Like, we already had a Necron team with the Cryptek in, so I don't see the big deal with this. This team happens to have a Captain, and people saying it's a Herald of the End Times, because I know Commanders wasn't the most popular expansion. The thing is, with the Captain, is how powerful can he really be? Space Marine Sergeant's already hitting on 2+, right? You can't be better than... He's got a Power Fist and a Plasma Pistol. We know what they are. He's got Power Armor. We know what that is. He's going to have Defense 3. So what's going to make him really powerful? Like, maybe he hits with a Power Fist on 2+ instead of 3+, like a normal Sergeant with a Power Fist. That's quite good, but it's only one stat bump. You know, they're not just going to ladle on. You know, that's not how you show a Space Marine Captain. Like, yeah, let's just ladle on wounds. But wounds is really the only stat they have to tinker with. Maybe he'll get another bonus wound over and above the Sergeant. So, like, one bonus wound and a point of BS on his Power Fist over and above a Sergeant is really all they can do. Obviously, maybe some special rule, but I can't... People getting, oh gosh, a Captain, like, he can't be, the system's topped out, right? The system is topped out. Apart from wounds, you can't go anywhere with it. Maybe he'll have an invulnerable save for his Iron Halo as well, like a 4-up invuln, but there's not that much headroom in the system. What else? Each of these has a helmeted and a non-helmeted head option, so you've got a choice there, which is cool. It does seem weird. So it's 7 models. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And as we know, every Marine team at the moment is capped at 6. So they seem weirdly powerful if you can take all 7. Somebody asked about this. They said they didn't know. Somebody did later point out to me, well, the heavy Intercessors traditionally have 2 APL. So is it so broken if it's 6 models and that with 3 APL and then a 2 APL model? And they do say in the article They have no special rules at all. So if you think about the fact that intercessors are powerful and legionaries are powerful, but intercessors are powerful and their chapter traits really help them, and legionaries with their marks of chaos really help them, these are going to be like, if you thought intercessors were the noobs team, this is going to be the noobs team to end all noobs teams, because it's not going to have any special rules or team-wide abilities. It sounds like it does say in the article they don't have any equipment options as well. Now, I don't know whether that means they don't have equipment to spend their 10 equipment points on and they're just stuck, or whether it just means that every single model is fixed loadout and there's not a choice of guns. I assume the latter. I assume they're going to have an equipment step. If they don't have an equipment step or any team-wide rules, I could see them being 7 models. I could see them being the ultimate kind of, to go back to an earlier idea of mine, like a 0 on the tricks axis, right? And like a 10 on the stats axis. You know, I could see them being that. I think that's everything I have to say about the Warhammer Heroes. I will pick them up when they come out, and I'm actually I think they look quite cool. Will I play them? Will I meta play them once or twice? Will I main them? No. Will I paint them up? Probably. I think they look quite cool. Will they come to be the team? Like, you'll go to an event and it'll be 50% Strike Force Justinian? It's possible. I don't know. Right, we've got a roadmap. They did roadmaps for nearly every system. It's excellent. So this is the roadmap for the rest of 2023. I have seen some absolute people with absolute monkey minds saying, oh, does this mean that Season 3 is only going to have 2 boxes? No, because every season so far has come out in Q3 and Q4 of one year and Q1 and Q2 of the next year. You absolute melts on Discord. Like, I have to get that out of my system. This is the roadmap for 2023. It is there in a massive font on the top line, right? So we're getting 2 boxes in Q3 and Q4 this year, and we will get 2 more boxes in Q1 and Q2 next year, right? Okay, I'm glad we established this. Ashes of Faith. Sorry, that probably sounded really rude. I just get wound up by things where people are being quite boneheaded about stuff. Ashes of Faith. Ashes of Faith is stated to be out before 10th edition 40k. We expect it to go on. We expect. Well, the Valrak rumours, we'll talk more about Valrak in a minute. The Valrak rumour is that he's heard that 10th edition 40k is going on pre-order on the 10th of June for 2 weeks. That's a rumour. What's fact is that we know that 10th edition is coming in June. Right? So this means Ashes of Faith is going to be with us quite quickly. This month, or potentially right at the start of June, I think. So it will be here very, very soon. So you've not got long to decide whether you want to pick that one up. You know, I don't think it will stick around for very long. I don't think they'll have made very many. I wouldn't assume they've made very many. For what it's worth, I wouldn't assume they've made very many Gallo Darks either. Like, Fest is kind of eating up the auction to talk about the Gallo Dark release. What I'm hearing from multiple sources is they've made so many copies of Leviathan, I just think that everything else in a big box is going to be quite hard to get hold of. So if you want Ashes of Faith, decide, mentally commit. That's what Games Workshop wants you to do. Then see the price and go, oh, well, I've mentally committed now. And then get online at, you know, 5 to 10 or whatever it is and get your order through if you want Ashes of Faith. Yeah, and then we've got this thing of the last few individual kill team releases coming in the summer, so that'll presumably be the Goats and the Votan, and also the Hand of the Archon, who are weirdly missing. Like, I haven't been able to do the video covering the pre-orders for the pre-order preview for Gallo Dark, but did you notice that the Hand of the Archon aren't coming out in an individual box for some reason? Interesting stuff. Presumably, I'm guessing because they can't be bothered making 9th edition 40k rules for the Eldar with the new stuff, right? So they're going to release the Hand of the Archon after the Eldar Index is out, so they can have rules for all the new things in the Dark Eldar Index cards, would be my guess. And then there's an annual, and I'm supposed to be overjoyed because I'm like, oh, they're not going to do an annual. It's called an annual. Annuals are every year, but they're not going to do one, blah, blah, blah. I'm supposed to be overjoyed. The annual really sounds like it's just going to be a consolidation of Gallowdark. So I've been expecting, you know, the Gallowdark core rules for close quarters confines, all of the rules for all the narrative terrain in the Gallowdark, all of the rules for all the teams from the Gallowdark year, and then probably the Gallowdark multiplayer mission from White Dwarf that we've had, and that's it. Like, previously I would say that, oh, I'm sure they'll put in, annoyingly, like one new team, right, to get the established folks to double dip and buy it despite having collected all the books and all the White Dwarfs and all the everything else. But, you know, and this is a deeper point, I don't want to mention it as just a footnote. The mood music around Warhammer Fest, both from the answers that were given in the Q&A, and some of the people, I didn't speak to Ellie about this myself, but some of the people I'd spoken to who said that they'd heard, and it is a bit Chinese whispers, the mood music is very much, we are not getting any more PDF or White Dwarf releases that are designed to take existing 40k models into Kill Team. So as much as you think it might work really well for, say, Plague Marines to get an update like that, I think the development team have decided that's not going to happen. Right? So I think we can discount that from our thinking going forwards. And it was asked directly a couple of times by people going, are we going to see a PDF like Kill Team stuff based on what's coming in Leviathan? And they basically said we haven't got any plans to do. They didn't close the door on it, because the nice thing about a PDF is I guess they could put one together reasonably swiftly. But they seem to be saying, without quite coming out and saying it, there'd be no new rules for kill teams with existing 40k models. So I know that will upset some people, but I felt like it was important to report that. Season 3. So Season 3, we saw a teaser trailer. A lot of this is going to be speculation. I've taken the one still image from the teaser trailer that I'm sure you've seen on the internet a lot of times already. So Season 3 is narratively a continuation of the Gallowdark. So the narrative is going to be that the Gallowdark crashes on this planet, right? And they did say that quarterly releases will continue. Quarterly, there'll be 4 of them. I'm talking to you, the people on Discord that are worried there's only going to be 2 releases for this season. There will be 4. And it was stated in the Q&A that the season 3 would have another new way of handling terrain that was different from what we'd seen so far inside and outside. Right, now you can look at the picture. A lot of people are saying jungle because people are trying, I swear, people are trying to manifest this box, which is lictors fighting catachans in a jungle that they've been trying to manifest now for about 18 months. Right, and I can see that there's a green tint, and maybe there's a leaf there, and maybe it's going to have a jungly aesthetic. The main thing I see in that image, right, I get that there's some jungly stuff in the foreground, is a shit ton of water. And if you look at Warcom's article in the prose on the Warcom article, it says a glimpse of structures which appear to be built amid choppy waves. Now, look, maybe I'm going to have egg on my face when it comes out and it's a rumble in the jungle, okay? But my guess is we're going to get like a 40k version of the Warcry terrain, right? So I said that, and then Zimbad said, don't you mean basically ash wastes? So I've included both pictures, right? So some people, when I describe this to them, they've been like, what, like an Ewok village? Yeah, but like an Ewok village made out of crashed Space Hulk parts. I think it's going to be a thing of lots of 3D terrain with lots of bridges, kind of like classic Underhive Necromunda stuff. Not the new style Necromunda stuff, but like the sort of derivative of the Sector Mechanicus, but refined and easier to use, with bridges and walkways. And hopefully there'll be a thing of being able to designate areas of the... I'm hoping they do some like flat terrain, or at least like flat markers for the rushing water. And maybe I'm dead off, right? But like with the possibility of like pushing people off the bridges. And I think this could be quite interesting because you could have like... You got the claustrophobic nature of Into the Dark, where you've still got like the idea of lanes and having to commit your forces to various lanes and not being able to just move really fluidly around the map. But also, because you've not got the walls, you can have tense firefights between like the bridges and people dashing from the bridges and bits of cover and putting their barricades on the bridges and stuff. Look, I could be totally wrong. The terrain at this point is the best and most interesting thing to speculate about this box, because the teams are basically known. Like, right, so Valorant, I've said my thing about Valorant before. Say what you want about Valorant's content and whether you like it or you don't. The source that he has is really good. And so he said it's Space Marine Scouts versus Striking Scorpions. And everyone's like, well, maybe it is. And the article coyly says, which aspect, as emphasis is mine here, which aspect of this video intrigued you the most? As in Aspect Warriors. Squads drawn from 2 major factions of the 41st millennium, so major factions, so it's not going to be the Imperial tax collectors, right? It's going to be from 2 things with a codex. An Eldari presence, so they straight out say is going to be an Eldar team. And then there's this line, further scouting is clearly required. Now, I just think that's their way of soft confirming it. That thing that Valrak said is true. It's going to be an Eldar it's certainly going to be an Eldar aspect warrior team, probably Striking Scorpions versus Space Marine Scouts. Seems to be a hole-in-one for Valrak again. So fair play to the guy. Seems to be a hole-in-one for Valrak again in terms of what the teams are going to be in the box. Scouts versus Striking Scorpions. The best and most interesting to speculate on is about the terrain. So I'm going for like a crashed spaceship, Ewok village, treehouse thing with loads of water that you can fall into and die. I think that would be cool. Yes. One thing that I've seen as well that is absolutely true, if it is Scouts versus Striking Scorpions, if the terrain is halfway decent for 40k, like, so many 40k players are going to try and buy our box, right? It's going to be like the Kazakin box again. You're going to really struggle. So once again, you're going to want, and even worse than the Kazakin box, it's going to be box 1 of the season. So every kill team is going to want it because they want the new terrain and the new rules. So hopefully, like thankfully, this is coming out after 10th edition, so maybe they'll make loads of them. But I think it's going to be a popular box. I think it's going to be a popular old box. That's it. Finally, final thoughts. I've nearly made it to an hour of rambling about what was an 18-minute preview in real life, but there we go. Let me know what you're excited to see or not excited to see in the comments. Like, which of these 3, like talking about box 1 of season 3, talking about Ashes of Faith, talking about Space Marine Heroes, what are you excited, or maybe you're more excited for Gallowfall, because that's also on the way. What's exciting to you? Let me know in the comments. I'm really interested in that. I like all of them the best. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited for an Inquisition team, a Space Marine team, Space Marine Scout team. They all sound like a good idea. New terrain sounds really cool as well. They all sound really cool to me. I'm probably going to buy all 3 of these products when they come out. Listen, there are so many videos that I want to make, and life is just getting in the way at the moment. So I had a parents' evening. I have a parents' evening tomorrow. That kind of snuck up on me. And then Zimbad's coming around on Friday to play Kill Team. So it's going to be Saturday before I can get any content out. I plan to do a review of Warhammer Fest overall. Like, what did I feel about it as a weekend away? I do plan to do a tournament report as well, specifically about my experience at the Warhammer Fest Kill Team tournament. And a separate video again doing a rundown of all the other reveals for 40k, Age of Sigmar, Warcry, Lord of the Rings, the Old World, and so on and so forth. And then we start beating into Gallowfall coverage. So like I said, I already kind of missed the window to do a video about the Gallowfall pre-order preview article. And we've seen the goat sprues. They're up now, and they're interesting in their own way as well. They've gone back to 2 big sprues and an accessory sprue after a couple of artisanal teams that just were 2 sprues. That's interesting. So let me know as well in the comments, of those things, which one do you want to see on Saturday? Because that's the next time I'm going to... Probably the next time I'm going to get to sit down to make a video is Saturday. Which of those are you most hyped to see? And I'll see what you say. I want to say thank you for all your hard work trying to help us locate Helen's kill team. And all the messages of support, which I know Helen's been looking at, and she thinks it's all very lovely. There have been so many wonderful people who have helped raise awareness of this. I'm going to miss some out, I'm sure. But the video's been shared by well, first there was Glass Half Dead on his Discord. Andy pinged everyone on his Discord and alerted everyone to what was going on. That was really nice of him. The video's been shared by Kill Team Hungry onto his channel. The video's been shared by Command Point on his channel. The video has been shared by Russ GFN Gaming on his channel. And Turning Point Tactics as well shared it on their channel. So, and those are all really solid guys. You should check them out. And and the Reddit mods at the r/kill team subreddit, they pinned a link to the video as well. So, thank you so much to all those people for trying their hardest to reunite Helen with her kill team. So far, nothing. But like, it really. Personally, for my own kind of mental well-being, like I got quite down in the dumps with the idea that somebody would do something so horrible, and the idea that so many of you are so not horrible and so willing to share of your platform as well to try and boost the signal. That really means a lot to me. Speaking of boosting signals, and one of the channels I named there, Turning Point Tactics. If you don't know them, go and check them out. I don't understand. Like, their content's really good. I wonder if they're just getting screwed by the YouTube algorithm because they don't have a face video feed in their stuff. But go and check them out as well if you like tactical analysis stuff. Yeah, really, really good. Right, and finally, as we talk about YouTube stuff, please, if you are new to the channel or you aren't new but you've never subscribed, please subscribe. Really very helpful. Leave comments, click like, click all the things, do the stuff. It's a YouTuber. I like the things that the YouTube algorithm likes because they make the channel grow. So thank you very much. Right, that's it. I'm really, really gabbling now, so it must be time to go. Have a great rest of your evening or morning or lunchtime or whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you again on Saturday with some other Warhammer Fest related video, I'm sure. Bye.